Normally, chess follows a particular set of tournaments, which is, in one term, we can say it is called the Grand Chess Tour. It has a series of tournaments which has rapid and blitz format, and also a couple of classical time formats thrown in. So here in 2020, because of an obvious reason, the tournaments got cancelled, and chess also suffered because of that. So the GCT, the Grand Chess Tour, was cancelled, and in its place, the organizers decided to come together and have a tournament or a tour by the name of Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour, which is $1 million tour, and this has 4 tournaments, and then thereafter the grand final. So 3 tournaments are already over. This is the 4th one. This doesn't necessarily have the elite or the creamy layer of world chess. This has 4 players who were the semi-finalists of the previous event, because that's part of the format, that every time a tournament ends, the 4 semi-finalists are directly seeded into the next tournament. So 4 individuals from that tournament, world champion Magnus Carlsen, who also won the tournament there, plus 3 candidates. Candidates means they were part of the 2020 candidates tournament, which now stands postponed. So these 3 other players, the runner-up was Anish Giri. He is Dutch number 1. And then you have Nepomuceno, who is the Russia number 1, and Ding Liren, the Chinese number 1, and currently world number 3. Now, these 4 players were joined by an array of legends. It had, of course, Viswanathan Anand, a 5-time world champion, Vladimir Kramnik, the world champion before Anand, and then you have Boris Gelfand, former World Cup winner. You have Ivanchuk, he's a World Cup finalist, World Championship finalist, and so was Peter Liko. And in addition, you have the 8-time Russian champion, Peter Swedler. So quite a gathering here. So obviously, when I was talking to Anand before the tournament, and he said the best part about this tournament is that this is a multi-generational tournament. And he's absolutely right, because the youngest lot, the 4 young players, were not even born when Anand became a grandmaster. So that is just to give you an idea that how much of a difference there is between the age range of those who are in this field. All of them are playing in this Magnus Carlsen chess tour for the first time, because they're all invitees. And those 4, the younger lot, who are in form, and they're also considered part of the computer generation, who have played the game, who learned the basics of the sport, not by necessarily moving the pieces over the board. They were more comfortable using the mouse. So this is like a battle involving 2 generations. First 2 days, the script reads almost similar. He faced Peter Swidler in the first round. The first 3 rounds were drawn, and in the 4th, he just committed a 1-move blunder. He was in a better position, but there was one particular trick that he missed, and he lost almost immediately. Now, 24 hours later, again, the first 3 games were drawn, but this time the opponent was the current world champion, as I said, Magnus Carlsen. So 3 good games, pretty equal, a lot of hard work involved. But as it turned out, he again messed up just 1 trick in the end, and again he lost. So all the hard work that you see that Anand had put in, we just lost in a flash. But that doesn't mean that he's not playing well. He's playing really well. It is just that maybe the fatigue of playing game after game, and he starts off at around 7:30 India time, and by the time the 4th game begins, it's close to midnight. So maybe the fatigue of the 4th hour, as we normally say in normal classical time control of chess, where in the 4th hour, that's when you are approaching the 40 moves stipulation, which you have to complete in 2 hours, or whatever is the time format. It can be 90 seconds and 90 minutes, and the increments included. So that's how. So there are errors creeping into Anand's game. That's what we saw in the first 2 days. But then let's just get one more thing pretty clear, that these are rapid games. Now here errors are going to happen. You are going to commit mistakes. The opponent is going to commit mistakes, and the player who doesn't commit the last mistake wins. So obviously, here the world doesn't expect moves of like high optimum or the optimum level moves in these kind of time formats, because you only have 15 minutes and remaining increment to finish the game. So there will be mistakes. So yesterday, as we saw, Anand was under tremendous time pressure in the fourth game, and then the error came. Carlsen is currently on a boat. He's not sitting in his home. He's not in his country. He's somewhere in the Mediterranean, and he's playing this tournament from a boat. So, as he said, that the match against Anand was far more difficult than what he had experienced the previous day against Anish Giri. Now, Anish Giri and Carlsen, they've been having this much followed banter over Twitter, and there's a lot of these, hype has been created around this. Although the difference in strength between these two players is quite vast, and Magnus is an eternal favorite every time he plays Anish Giri. But this time, of course, Magnus had a very easy outing. He won both his games with white pieces, and he won 3-1. But against Anand, as I said, 3 draws and then a late error from Anand, and that's how that match ended. Now, a lot of focus has been on whether all these legends, the 6 legends, whether they are going to make it. Either one of them is going to break into the top 4. And after 2 days, looks a little difficult for Lingdiren, because Dingleren already has lost both his matches, and he's not playing the way the world has known him to play. He has been making too many mistakes. He's been committing errors, and he has lost to Boris Gelfand in the first. And Boris Gelfand is the oldest player at 52. And Gelfand, interestingly, has won both his matches, and so has Peter Swidler. And it's going to be quite interesting that 2 of these players from the legends category, so to say, they have started off well. Dingleren hasn't done too well so far, and Nepomniachtchi has, of course, won one match easily against Liren yesterday. So, but it remains to be seen how well these youngsters would cope up, against these legends, and similarly and equally how these legends are going to perform as we go deeper into the tournament. In 2 days of action, what we've seen is that the younger players have not had that easy, and the legends are showing the kind of stuff that they're made of. So a lot of exciting times ahead. And for Anand, he has to get onto the scoreboard. He's yet to have a point after two rounds. Well, after 2 rounds, what we have is Magnus Carlsen leads along with Boris Gelfand. Now, one legend, a former World Cup champion, and the current world champion. So these 2 are leading with 6 points. They are leading along with Peter Swidler. So there are 3 players with 6 points. And the 4th place, you have Nepomniachtchi with 5, and Anish Giri is 5th with 3. Then Peter Liko with 2, and Vladimir Kramnik. He's been getting some good positions, but again, like Anand, he's not able to finish it. He's 7th with 1 point along with Ivanchuk, and then comes Anand, followed by Dingleren.